Hello, everybody. Welcome back to OSL's Saturday matches. I hope we've enjoyed the first half of tonight's games. And in case you missed it, we did see Gospel take a 2-0 victory over Envy there in our last matchup. But now we're on to Tensei versus Longbottom in the third set for tonight. And we're starting off with Tensei's pick of the Lich on Almond Lake Mine. I quite like this killer and map. It's a personal favorite of mine. But up next, we do have Ghoul on Surfer Pit 1, which will be Longbottom's pick. And then Ghoul on Surfer Pit 1 if it comes to it. Ghoul on Surfer Pit 1, which is Longbottom's pick, my apologies. And then Cenobite on Dead Dog Saloon if it comes to it. And then afterwards, we'll have Scarlet versus IMO at 7:30. But loading in here, we do have Anger on the Lich with Turn Back the Clock, Pain Resonance, Eruption, Corrupt. I don't know what his add-ons are, but I want to take a wild guess and assume it's probably Boots of Speed. And maybe like the gloves or the feather maybe, but we find kind of straight off rip here. And I forgot to introduce as well Ghosty. Hello mate, how are you? I think you've already been casting all night, but just thought I'd say g'day, and it's a pleasure to cast with you again.
Always, Smog. I've been looking forward to the day I get to cast with you, and thank you very much for the intro. I'm also with you there. I'm looking forward to this matchup and the sets that have been chosen. Lich, I agree, is a very fun one, especially on the Almond Lake Mine. A lot this killer can do with all the elevations for the skulls, and what we can do with stuff like the Mage Hand and the All-Seeing Eye for our general finding our survivors if we can't directly find them. But very fast chase starting onto Canna as well on the shack side, where you want to be, towards the bottom side. I think our survivors are going to be cranking those top side motors. But an unfortunate vault back does lead to the down onto Canna. Anger, very good down on the shack window, and a very reasonably fast down into a basement as well. Very dangerous place to be in against any killer, I would believe. But we can see our survivors have been 3-splitting for that chase as well, and we didn't opt for a pain res as well, so none of these generators were interrupted. So we have 3 separate generators straight off the bat with 50% progress, and my god, can that be problematic if we don't if our chases start lasting long and we don't have stuff like Eruption applied. Since Turn Back the Clock, as much as I will always say I love this perk, like anytime I see it, I'm always like a kid in a candy store excited, but does not apply, thankfully, things like Eruption or Pop. So it's a bit of a counter synergy, but it does give us that ability to do those range kicks, and also, as I believe we've seen in previous OSL games, denial of sticking gens just to pop them as well, since Turnback says, I don't care if a survivor is still working this, I will just boot you off and basically kick the gen. So overall, just a really nice perk, in my opinion. But for this is 2 gens popping for the side of our trial, so Smog, and we are immediately committing to our next chase onto our Claudette, Backy, and we still have that basement hook that we have to get out as well. Both of our survivors being topside might end up leading to Canna going second, since it looks like Anger is going to be just taking our attack onto Backy and rotating back towards the shack side and towards that basement hook as well. So could be a death hook at 3 gens remaining, but we did have that 3rd generator that we know that was splitting with very high progress. So as much as Canna does unfortunately go to second, our survivors do have a good amount of gen progress to back up the second stage, as long as we can get some other gens working and maybe that reset onto Backy.
I think we're putting up a respectable amount of pressure here on the side of Longbottom. We had 2 gens pop during the camp, but it did force Canna to second stage, which is great to see. So when we do go for our Death Hook tonight, we'll be able to also cash in a Pain Resonance later in there, but it does look like the survivors are playing it super safe. Very questionable pickup there on the pallet. I'd say we're way too far away from that pallet to be getting any value out of that lift, and kind of just reset it for them there. But regardless, we're doing a really strong thing here where we're just applying pressure to this high pop gen on this hill. It's very easy for us to pressure it there as well, and we're just playing very defensive around the generators. Close to our basement hook here, we do see the unhook coming through onto Canna in the background there. One of those gens in the back and finally popping. We're just going to be trying to follow Canna around for probably about 10 more seconds. He doesn't have this pallet here at this resource. Actually, we're going to have to try and come in for a body block, but the flight tech will be coming in, which does remove our collision here, so we can just tap it and try and get through, but it's not quite working out in our favor. The spacing is just a little bit awkward to try and get that to work, and we do have our skulls here, but unfortunately we get the duck. We read it predictably. No Spansling coming in here, and we do once again have Silly still on deck for a potential hit take, and I think at this point, Anger, you just want to take the M1 tag, because clearly the fly tech's not working out in your favor. We have two people here just to try and have Canna live for as long as humanly possible. Mage-Hand comes through here, but we have some living powers to us. But Canna is running away from his teammates. We did reset this generator, so this pallet at the 4 lane earlier, so we won't be able to make that. And that will be the death onto Canna here at 2 gens remaining. I think we heard an eruption in the background, cashing in a pain resistance as well, hitting FJ's gen all the way in Narnia. Fantastic tunnel out there from Anger. That's what you'd like to see. Bungling up the body blocks there were Longbottom. Unfortunately, just not able to force out those M1s. Anger playing very patiently. If that was me, I definitely would have just hit that Survivor and gone about my day, but no, he was very determined to try and get a fly tech there and remove his no clip, but he ended up just being able to just walk around them because he didn't activate any of his spells. He put up enough Bloodlust just to bypass those body blocks there, but now we're down to the 3v1 at 2 generators remaining. We have a very nice gen spread here, not too many highly progressed generators as well, trying to make use of this elevation difference, and Ormond Lake Mine, but we're so far away that the shotgun spread of those skeletons doesn't really do us many favors, and Baki having some wonderful pathing around here, we should be able to make this 4 lane power, but I do believe Mage-Hand is off cooldown. A lift coming through there after throwing the power. This should result in a tag, and that it does. The M1 tag coming through onto Baki, Silly, and FJ, doubling, splitting 2 different gens here, and Angle will just be taking his tag and rotating away. He wants to put the pressure on the survivors. We see FJ pre-leaving his generator in the background there. Silly also receiving that comp to get off of his generator. We saw Crow go by the shack, so we know that potentially FJ is lingering by the shack here, and I do think Anger is well aware of that, as we also see the scratch marks trying to move him away from the fly, but not quite there, as we still have the prompts of the vault coming through there. I'm going to be continuing the chase onto FJ. Just need a down at some stage here. Do we get a hit with the elevation with the skulls? No. Fantastic spacing there from FJ, and he's just going to be holding W all the way over to the 11 side corner, Ghosty.
Yeah, no, this has been a phenomenal chase from FJ, really holding their distance, avoiding the skulls earlier on, and also avoiding the M1 tag on our mid-10 side filler pallet as well, making it all the way to our more deeper 10, and missing the M1 as well on our second filler pallet, meaning we get to make it all the way to the water tower, meaning that Anger is just not having any more of that. All of our spells basically got used up throughout that chase, and we did not get anything out of that, not a single tag onto FJ. Very, very well played from them. And I have to say, Silly is in the background, has been able to just sit on a generator, about to have it pop as well. So Baki just needs to last for like 2 more seconds. There it is for Eruption to potentially not come and rear its ugly face and deny that gen pop. So we are at 1 generator remaining, and looks like Baki is just accepting that with the Mage Hand being applied, and the redrop tech not being I was about to say with redrop not being really a thing with the changes, not really risking it. Not going to go for it, but also now seeing Silly nearby, I could see maybe a pallet save was the comms from the survivors. That would have been, I'm pretty sure, game ending right there if that pallet save came through from Silly, but we do get that hook onto Baki, so we are initiating a little chase onto Silly, but we're not going to commit to it too much. We do have the bottom side generator still to hold, and a very nice sort of gen split up as well with that 7-5 and mid-6 gen set up to hold, which is what you want for a bottom side 3 gen. Still have some elevations to use as well. Do see the scratch marks leading away from the 7 gen, which also has already so much progress on it as well. And our survivor is just nowhere to be seen. Their pre-leaves are immaculate, and I think that was FJ rotating back towards this 3 side, where the pallet is once again available. I swear, this pallet has been available throughout the entirety of the trial, with the Mage Hands coming through to reset it as well. FJ looking to go back down, but Anger was just not doing that. And we are doing, I think, what should have happened probably earlier on, and breaking that dreaded pallet. That's been a bit of a problem, I think, for our killer, but we do have a nice gen set up to hold. Resets are coming through from our survivors as well, buying their time just to get their health states back to attack these generators with full health states. And if comms are good for their pre-leaves, this should be a very rough end or mid to end game for Anger. But if we just get some quick tags and don't have too long of chases, this could go downhill for our survivors. It is very much looking like our survivors are definitely setting themselves up for some outs at this stage, especially if FJ can cook up another good chase like we saw earlier on. Does have the water tower to play, but with that health state being used, we can't really rely on this filler pallet that we have for the water tower. With skulls being available, it would just lead to our death and Eruption proccing on that generator down on the 7 side. But Silly, once again, just disappears. I'm going to be chilling on a generator while you guys have fun with your killer. Has been progressing a gen that was just over 50, but was pain res onto FJ coming through. Will go back down to just below and has been able to be pushed back up, and I believe that would be the gen down by the concrete pipes of 7. So we know where roughly one of our survivors is. For our side, I'm not sure if Aya will know, but surely we know where our 2 remaining survivors would be now with these gens no longer regressing, and with the progress that we had earlier onto 7, we'd have an idea of where our survivors are. Unhook onto FJ also coming through while we were checking and giving that gen over down the 5 side a kick. And yeah, I think we're in a relatively rough spot for the killer with all things being considered. We need to get a lot of quick chases at this stage, so Smog, and we need this chase with Silly for our killer not to last.
Yeah, we get a really good tag there onto Silly. He's our final fresh. It'd be great to commit to him, but it does look like Anger is opting to rotate back to his generators and keep an eye on them. The HUD might be broken because we can't really see anyone rank cranking the gens, unless they just haven't touched them yet. But Anger's very content to try and play for a potential 4K here with the M1 coming through there onto Silly. No anti-heal to be seen. That should be a fairly quick reset if they want it. I don't really know what Anger's doing there. Answering his Discord messages mid-game, I guess, but... activating Fly, we do see Silly's blood trail off in the distance. He is over by 1, but it looks like we're going to be taking a tag onto FJ instead here. Or he goes to the slow vault over the snake tile. That will result in another tag, and we look like we're going to be trying to commit to it, FJ here. This might be a bit of a problem for Longbottom, as they just don't have the survivors. You can't afford to have your injures play super aggressively in your generators for obvious reasons. You don't want to hook in the middle of your 3-gen. Very early mage hand coming through there on the side of Anger, but it does result in an M1 down for him onto FJ at the main building, and now he needs to get active here, get sluggy with it. He has Silly injured. If he can locate him, get a quick down to him, and then just hard commit to back, he can walk away with the set, a 4K1 for his team, which is a great result to have, and we do see a very high progress. And we have found Backy, not Silly. Silly will likely be rotating for that pickup. Then with that gen so highly progressed, I don't know if Anger can really afford to let it go. He kind of has to commit to Backy here and just let the pickup happen to FJ. And if they reset, well, my apologies. If they reset, well, they reset, and that's exactly what's happening. So he goes for the pickup onto FJ, and that will probably be each survivor there resetting each other to keep themselves nice and healthy, and then retackling that 3-gen, and this chase would be entirely to buy some time for the reset. But Backy OD looks like he's not paying attention, and then just kind of walks into Anger there, going for some impressive skulls. Good spacing there from Anger. Great work, putting him right on his noggin. A clean 2-tap there onto Backy, and this will be Death Hook for back. He will be on Death Hook now onto Backy there, and Anger will also be dragging him close to his generators to keep a closer eye on him. Reset coming through onto FJ and Silly, which does mean these generators, they've just been sitting there regressing. No progress has been made, and it's undone a lot of the pressure that Longbottom once had. Our hook onto Backy is so close to that generator by those pipes that has really high progress that he can kind of just camp back and keep an eye on that generator as well. If he's able to get a really quick down into Backy after he's get unhooked and force a 2v1, that is a prime position there to walk away with a 4K, and he's done a fantastic job so far. Extremely quick unhook there onto Backy from Longbottom. We're just going to be flying through FJ and then committing to a chase into Backy potentially. If he's able to get this down real quick, smart, that would be great, but he has about 10 seconds left of his BT still, so plenty of time there just to run around and do whatever he wants around this little tower. But this tower is not a great loop to be at. There's not really a ton you can work with here, but BL building there, we have this part still drop. We don't really need to worry about that. I do believe we have our skulls available to us. If we're able to just put it on his noggin, that'd be great, but we have Mage Hand. If we're able to get that down, we don't even need it. We can just get the M1 tag due to BL, get that pick up. Do we see anyone descending from the heavens to get that power save? No. We just die in the underground there. I dare say Silly and FJ will be working that generator by the pipes, trying to double it and potentially complete it, but that remains to be seen, though. Flying straight back over to that generator by the pipes. We hope to see both survivors there with not quite enough time to complete that generator, but it's down to the wire, but they do pop it. Both, that's going to be at worst a 4K0. Great work from Longbottom survivors there, buying as much time as humanly possible to pop it. And then we're going to be seeing Silly and FJ split off here. Ideally, Anger does commit to Silly, as he is worth the most points and is the final fresh hook. You don't really want to be chasing FJ here, and we do find Silly. He is healthier, but of course, this is the shack. We managed to dodge the spread from the skulls as well, but FJ is going to be cranking one of those doors in the background there and trying to let Silly play for hatch. If we do go close the hatch, I don't think we have enough time or spacing required to go for a down before he's able to just walk out the door. If we do manage to close the hatch, but it's going to be right down to the wire here, Ghosty.
Oh yeah, no, like Silly is playing out of their mind right now. Dodging that skulls at Shack potentially just secured the outs and that fresh hook escape as well. We do have the fly on hand to try and close the gap and land straight on top of Silly, so I don't think we're going to be able to make it through. An attempted window fake and the hit take coming through from FJ, but it was just not fast enough. That flight allowed us to close the distance and secure that 3 stages on top onto Silly, so Very good result overall, I think, from Anger, though, considering I believe most of the times you'd expect usually high stages to mid stages, if not maybe a 4K0. So I'm pretty sure this would be right in that middle ground of where you'd expect a Lich set to be in. But I was very concerned for a second when we took our fly back to that 7th gen. If we were not doubling it, that turn back the clock may have actually made a
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to OSL. This is the Saturday night lineup here. We are in the Tensei versus Longbottom game. This is set 3 for tonight, or game 3 for tonight, rather. In case you missed it, we did see Anger from Tensei set a very respectable result of 10 stages for Fresh on the Lich versus Longbottom. A very, very good result there for the Lich. So all their survivor lineup now has to do is 9-stage Longbottom's killer here, which is no easy feat. It's very difficult against this team Longbottom, of course. For those who don't know, they've been under a few different names, but they're, our grand champions over several seasons. I think every season but last season. But they're an exceptional team here, and Baki specifically is great at a lot of different killers. And as we load into the set here, Baki is running Pop, Pain Res, and Turn Back the Clock. No eruption on the Lich here, but loading in, we do see on the Survivor end, we have Sacred, Orlando, Enlightened, and Anger as well. So taking the chase straight away onto Sacred at the LWT will buy the shack here next to our Corrupt Intervention. Very quick find from Baki, but it is just one of those a matter of time things. But we swerve into the skulls. That's not the type of start if you want, if you're on Team Tensei, but this might even be a quick 2-tap if we're able to get a good Mage Hand here. Mage Hand coming out from Baki. We have the boots of speed, and I think that will result in an extremely quick down right next to the basement. I'm having a little bit of deja vu here, Ghosty, because this happened last game as well.
Yeah, I was literally just thinking about that in a way. So Smong, this was a bit of like a redemption match in a way for Sacred, as they did have a bit of a rough time in the previous Lich set that we saw them play, I believe, both Killer and Survivor for. So unfortunately, we will be seeing Sacred being our first hook of the trial, and it's unfortunately a basement hook as well. It does look like our Survivor side has been able to build up some pressure. Looks like we have a double by Orlando and Anger on one of our gens. Looks like it was our mid-10 gen. And it looks like our other progress gen was this main building gen by Enlightened. But, yeah, no, we definitely need to see some big gameplay from Sacred to make up for that very rough start for this set, since we are now 8 stages needed to win the set. So every stage will count throughout the trial, and we still need to get out of that basement area as well. So hopefully Sacred's reset the mental, got themselves back on track and can pull off that chase there. I know that they can pull off, because I have seen Sacred pulling off some really good performances before. So let's see you cook, Sacred. We know you can do it. Let's see you do it. Put it into the action. But going back into things, we do see Turnback going on towards our 11th side gen, and a Firecracker coming down from Orlando to try and disorientate Baki, but to no avail. We only have the concrete pipes to play, and another tag with the skulls, meaning that we will be dropping chase immediately and going straight back towards our shack to deny the unhook onto Sacred and see if any survivors have managed to slip their way down towards the basement. Doesn't look like that is the case, though, unless there already is a survivor down there. Nope, Sacred will be unfortunately going to 2nd stage, and we'll be continuing our chase back onto Orlando as well, with our spells recharged up on hand. We do have both our skulls, I believe, and a Mage Hand available. If not, the skulls are not far off. Looks like we were going for a bit of a block, if not, maybe a bit of another deja vu moment with a potential palace save being set up, but no, we don't have a survivor here. Sacred being unhooked from the basement. Thankfully, though, get out of that shack. We don't want to be there anymore. Turn back the clock, being applied to our gen down on the 8 side again as well, and we are straight back over to the shack on the hunt for Sacred. We want them out of the trial as soon as possible. With 4 gens remaining, this is a bit of a problematic position to be in for our survivors of Tensei. And the Orb of All-Seeing Eye catching out Sacred, who stayed down in the basement. I think this is the one decision that could not be made and may have just costed Tensei the set, with a death at 4. Sacred removed from the trial. This is big problems, I think, so small.
I don't really know why he did that, why he stayed in the basement. I guess it was a bit of a mind game where we assume that Enlightened is escorting Sacred to corner 1, and then Baki commits to corner 1, and it's just Light can't find Sacred, and then he's just, chilling out in the basement. But with the orb being sent down to basement, because we saw Enlightened leaving the shack there with no Sacred in tow, so we send the orb down to basement and shack area just to see if he's still hanging around that area, and lo and behold, he was. So he was just kind of doomed to die there, unfortunately, but we do find Orlando once more, turn back the clock on the highly progressed gen there. Skull's coming up there, but not quite low enough to get them down. I think, regardless, Orlando too wide to the left to be affected by them anyway, so we're just going to be looping around the main building, going for the medium over this decently powerful window here. One Fakey coming through, two Fakey, one more being available on that window. This chase, but one gen popping in the background there. We do go up the stairs here. We don't bother throwing that gold pad just yet, but we still have Mage Hand on deck being thrown there. We have the Boots of Speed coming through too. I do believe this should result in a down. That it does, one down in main as well coming through for Orlando. That is the Boots of Speed with the Trickster's Glove add-on, so we're investing heavily into our Mage Hand because it's a bit of a weird spell, you know, like you're going to be very particular about how you use it, but another gem being done in the background. The downside of Sacred drying down in the basement is we lose out on one of our Pain Res tokens, so we're going to be one token on the board at all times we can't really use, which is a shame, but Enlighten's Gen also being highly progressed here. This is a great position to be in a 3v1, although Orlando is on Death Hook. Enlighten does pop his gen, and we have decently split gens too. These are quite far apart. We have two over by that shack area over there, and then of course we have the one in main that Orlando is hooked right on top of, so we do find someone here at this palette. I do believe this should be Anger potentially. We see the unhook coming through anyway onto Orlando, so we're going to be rotating back over there. Note that was enlightened at that palette. My apologies. FTP coming through from Anger to keep Orlando alive and well. But oh dear, Anger's kind of caught in a terrible position here because we have this palette that's just a bit of a bastard to work with. We managed to dodge the skulls though, but a Mage Hand, well, I think we'll see the end of Anger anyway, because Trickster's Glove, of course, applies that 0.3 lift to all interactions with Mage Hand, which includes the actual lifting of the palette, which is where its strength comes in. As well as, like, of course, the normal just holding the pallet in place. But Orb coming out onto the generator over by the pipes there, trying to find out what these gamers are doing, what gen they want to try and work. I wouldn't be surprised if the play is just to split this generator by the pipes and, of course, the main building. But no, we're actually going to be splitting the main building and the shack generator. They're not quite avoiding the skulls. There will be in blind, taking the tag, pre-throwing the shack as well. Mage Hand on coordinate, can't have to walk through. We're just going to have to try and take a break there. Turn out the clock on that shack gen as well. Just make sure it goes back down to 0. Unhook coming through onto Anger. That would be Orlando going for that. And we're going to be continuing with the Jason to Enlightened here, who's our final pressure on the board. And once we get that, it's all down to the stages. We only need, Backy needs 11 stages here to win. But a wonderful stun there from Enlightened will buy him a good bit of distance. Backy going for the break there as well. I think he's just going to have to fly back to main because he knows that these two are going to be doubling it. All we need to do is get 3 stages through the door on the side of Flatline here, and that will be a win in the books. 1-0 against Longbottom. That'll be a fantastic way to start the series against a more titanic opponent here, being Longbottom. But we do find, I think this is Anger over by this 4 lane. Not a great tile to be in versus the Lich, but we do go wide around the power, wait a little bit out there, but no, Anger's got the checkies in lock, and he does rotate around the 4 lane there, goes into main building as well, so trying to keep it through. We do go for the fast vault there, Crash coming through as well. We get the fast vault on the long wall. We go setting out an orb 2 down to shack just to check whether or not someone may or may not be doubling it, but Anger's making a mountain of a molehill here as he continues the run along the 4 lane, but it looks like Backy has just resigned to the fact that he's going to have to abandon that chase there. Orb not really detecting anyone shack, but no, we do find a line over by the shack, so we know that we're 2-2 splitting the shack and main building, and with that chase on Anger just resulting in nothing there, unfortunately. They've just been allowed to get about 40% progress on both these generators there, and Backy is just going to be completely ignoring Orlando and is going to be looking for Enlightened there. We do see some scratches and blood leading around the shack here, of course, but unfortunately we don't have the power as we did use it very early on. We have skulls available to us too. We go for the fake, doesn't quite come in, doesn't force a Crouch out of Enlightened at all. With a little bit of zoning from the skulls here, that should result in an M1 tag at bare minimum, but we try and hop into lock, but no, the skulls do catch us before we're able to make it, and that will be a down onto Enlightened, potentially a Pain Res, unless we want to go for a basement hook. Pain Reses are in Narnia though, Ghosty, so we won't be getting any Pain Res value from Enlightened here.
Yeah, no, looking at our pain res now, maybe a basement wouldn't have been a bad shout, but in saying that, that's obviously a lot of distance to be traveling to try and get back up to the main building generator, which is one of the gens that our survivors are trying to get the progress onto to get completed, and it is starting to build up a little bit, looking at just over 50% at the moment, but pop being applied to it has sent it back down. Orb of All Seen has revealed both Orlando and Enlightened back by towards our shack side. Still getting Killer Instinct a little bit on shack, so maybe someone was trying to lurk around, maybe potentially a head-on play or something along those lines would be my first assumption, or just trying to stop the regression on this shack generator. But we have turned back the clock still on hand as well to do a quick little drive-by, kick on our shack gen, and commit straight into a chase onto Orlando, one of our only Death Hook survivor currently, and definitely a good target for Backy since we don't have that final pain res from Sacred, and also we don't have our other pain res onto, I believe it was Enlightened from before. We had to find them first and then get outpaint us through, but it isn't enough. We actually bought enough time as Shaq to get that main building gem popped. I think that had to have been a double. We see the scratch marks leading from the back of main and around the 10 side, so they just immediately hopped onto that main gen and doubled it. Hold on, chat. We may actually see the win come through, potentially, if we manage to get all 3 of our survivors out, if I'm not mistaken. We are still... Oh, no, actually, no. Wouldn't... Yeah, no, this will be the win if we actually get all 3 survivors out of the board at the moment. And Orlando is not the survivor we probably want to be chasing, because I don't believe this will be enough to secure the win.
No, we need... If we kill Orlando and Lion and Anger out the door, and that's 4 stages, so that's not 9, that's not 11. Like, Becky needs 11. He needs to kill everyone. So he can't even tie it if he commits to Orlando here. And with the stun coming through there, Orlando might be able to buy enough time and distance to go all the way over to the shack, but Enlightened, he's out the door, Anger's out the door, Orlando, he's out the hatch as well, and Flatline will be, we can see.
I've been seeing a lot of 4Ks obviously come through from the Ghoul, but at very low gens, if not no gens remaining, and still some outs. So the results could be very, very much in these next 2 games, but it's all going to come up to Longbottom's backy to give them a good starting result to put them in moving forward into this second set. And we want a good result here to make sure it's as easy as possible for the team of Longbottom to make sure that they can definitely secure this set without worrying too much about if it's a rough game or, you know, if the stages aren't quite adding up the way that backy wanted them to. And just give that peace of mind that, hey, we got a really good result from the kill side, so we're setting ourselves up well for when Tensei's survivor side come into play and... Well, sorry, Tensei's killer comes into play and, yeah, pushes for the final game, potentially, of this best of 3 series before the final one tonight with Scarlet and IMO. But backy, back again on the killer. We have an interesting add-on with the brown Kaneka's wallet alongside the purple coffee cup. Very interested to see, since I don't think I have ever seen that brown add-on be used. And I swear, Smong, I swear we're having deja vu again, or it's like... we seem to be seeing this very often with Sacred being our first survivor spotted, but we'll only be copying the Enraged Bite to get into our rage form, as Undying unfortunately bites the dust in the background. A bit of an unfortunate spawn for Backy. Means that we have lost one of our perks very early, but with the Enraged mode active, we do have our third lunge available to get the tag onto Enlighten and put them also into the Deep Wound. Meaning we have 2 very quick tags into the trial, and we know that 2 survivors where they roughly were, and also 1 cannot be on the generator right now. Firecracker coming through from Enlighten to try and disorientate Backy, but we do manage to make it to the back main filler. Going for the revolt, we do manage to get it as well. We can still revolt tech against the Ghoul. It is still definitely a thing. Me being a bit of a Ghoul, like a Ghoul dabbler myself, though, it makes me cry a little bit, but regardless, a good tech I think to have for our survivor side. Interesting grab through the pallet as well. Like, I think that could have actually been a down potentially, but we are able to make the play with this back main pallet still on the one side and greeting it phenomenally, making it all the way around again, but we've overgraded, I think, a little bit there on Lighten, so we will unfortunately be going down to it. Yes, we don't have the pallet drop, so we no longer have to worry about it. Ooh, looks like we actually had Anger there set up potentially for a pallet save, but a quick swing out by Backy denies them of that, and Anger has to be careful that we don't end up getting tagged as well, because they are one of our remaining healthy survivors that could potentially go for the unhook onto Enlighten, but a cheeky little run to the bottom little hill spot of main means they do unfortunately get tagged, leaving Orlando to be our remaining healthy survivor, and the only one that ultimately would be going in for an unhook once their gen's completed. Hopefully a gen closer to the top side, so it's not too much of a match for us to get to, but we are going to be taking chase onto Anger. Beautiful stun by Anger into the blind with Champion of Light as well to slow Backy down and try and make some distance, and it looks like they've sent it down to the bottom side. Backy, we're not going over to the 10 side. We had full running it down toward down 9 side.
These gens are foul!
But yeah, no, I've noticed it as well. What is this? What are these gens? I'll leave it with you, Sismon, because like these gens, yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Ghosty. I just like was locked in on the chase, and I looked around at the gens, and I was like, well, hold on a minute. These gens are fucked up and evil. We got basically all of the gens we could ever want on this side of the map, but very comfortable, like technically 5 gen if you count that one at the top mid there. That's like, this is disgusting. Excellent RNG there for Backy. He has, I would have said he had both of his, he did have both of his totems on the side of the map here too. I was going to say, yeah, if you're angry, you don't really want to be dying on this side of the map, but I don't think he really has a choice, because like, Oh, he's bugging up the revolt too. That's a shame to see. So we do have two people down on this side of on the map here. On the 12 side, we have Sacred and Orlando both injured as well there. So, oh, it's gone to hell in a handbasket real quick. And Tensei weren't having too bad of a start there. It wasn't until I locked in on the gens and what we were working with that I went, oh, this might actually be incredibly bad if Anger dies off here, because he was getting silly with it. He was playing a bit pubby, trying to go for a beamer save and a flashlight and a power save at a main building there, but it didn't quite come to fruition. But Sacred does pop the last generator over by bottom, so now all chasers have to go bottom. We're committing to a chaser on Atlanta. We know that Sacred has to rotate up through the mid map there. We do catch him out, but with Ghoul's speed, we should be able to get him before he goes to the pickup. But no, I think with not enough tokens there and no enrage left, Backy's kind of forced to just commit to the death onto Enlighten while the pickup comes through onto Anger. They don't have time to reset and go for the unhook onto Enlighten, so unless they want to do like a double save where both of them die for Enlighten on 12, I think they just have to commit to the fact that Enlighten is deceased by daylight. So GG Light. He had a pretty good first chaser, all things considered. Does look like we are double resetting in the background there, Anger being fully healed. I am curious to see if like they were committed to this side of the map. It does look like they were. We see them over by this generator and heading down our pop map now. This would be Anger. That reset kind of just getting thrown out the window there as another bite comes through. And Rage online as well. I don't know if any of Tensei survivors would even be anywhere near the 12th side of the map here. We have 0 gen progress. Everyone's injured and lines marked. It's all gone straight to hell for Tensei, and they kind of have to just lock in a 3v1, somehow do as many gens as they can.
Oh.
They've just found Orlando in a random locker. He's peered into his crystal ball and found out where he's living, and that will be a very comfortable hook on this side of the map here. And Baki, he's on a tear. He's unhappy about that Lich set, and he wants revenge. So that will be a hook onto Orlando there. This forces either Sacred or Anger to go for that unhook there, and it looks like it is going to be Anger, but Baki can just sit in this choke. He knows that Anger has to cross from this bottom side here. He has him pigeonholed at the 6th side of the map, but oh dear, and he goes for the cutoff onto Sacred, but just goes to the bite anyway after using 3 tokens. That leaves him deep wounded and resets his enrage meter. Anger has to use this moment to rotate to the top side of the map there and try and get a pull, but I don't think he's going to be able to make it. He's a little bit too late. He doesn't have enough speed, momentum, or time there as he is forced to play around this pile of nothing. 99 is heal though, so that will be an M1. Fantastic play there from Anger, and he's using that hit to go all the way behind 12. This allows Sacred to come back in for the unhook here. Orlando will be trying to take a body block to help Sacred to go down to the bottom side of the map because we can't be dying over by the main building, but it looks like we're just heading into main anyway. We're kind of forced to go this way due to how way Packy's pathing. Orlando only has 15 seconds of BT. That nearly ran out, but we were able to get a last minute injury there onto the BT that literally remained, but it looks like we're going to be committing to Sacred here. One of our final fresh hooks, one of the 2 final fresh hooks I should say, but just bringing the power there, forcing Sacred down to this corner of the map that has no resources available to it, and this should be a very quick and comfortable down. I don't think he has anything to work with here. We see Anger on the HUD there with a generator about quarter of the way, and it looks like back he is opting for that 4K3. He knows he's in a very comfortable position here to go for a slug play, as they can't really afford to rotate down bottom side of the map or go for any resources. That everyone's injured. He knows there's someone here. Orlando goes down. We just got to find Anger wherever he might be. He might be rotating for a pickup onto Sacred, and that he is. Backy's locked in. This will be a down here and a very comfortable 4K3 from Backy. I don't know if Sacred's recovered enough to go for that pickup here, but he will just be bolting over the Z wall, and a 4K3 from Backy. That is a very impressive result on the Ghoul here.
Yeah, no, much more different result that we saw compared to the Lich set. A 4K3. I mean, I'm gonna be so for real for a second. So like, gens, like, oh my god, like, this is the result you would expect to see when you have this sort of a level of a gen setup. Ruin also still ticking away in the back pocket, so that we just had no gen progress, and with everyone being injured as much as we were, like, where was the time for a reset or like to be able to pressure any of these generators? And also Ruin just RNGesus for Backy. And welcome back all. We realized that botany knowledge is not self-care, so we had an unfortunate wrong perk brought in from Longbottom's survivor side, unfortunately, which will mean that we have to restart the matchup. So we'll be running it back for our second game of the second set between Tensei and Longbottom. So who knows? It could be in Sacred's favor or it could be in our survivor's favor, but nonetheless, we're running it back. So restart being, we are on the top side, and it looks like our gens, we do have a nice sort of 3-gen situation on the bottom side, which means that we are most likely once again looking at most of our gens being on that dreaded top side like in our previous set. But we are looking at a very quick find on our first survivor, and it is Baki once again. So we're sort of falling back on the concept of deja vu coming through throughout this match, and Baki will be our first tag of the trial, but does have a lot of the bottom side to play with. One of our totems being nearby Shack, and Baki may have caught a glimpse of it. So we will probably need to do a bit of a chase here just to make sure that Baki can't just jump on that totem for free and remove Undying from the trial. But crowd control, as I was mentioning before we had the unfortunate disconnect having to come through due to wrong perks coming into play. Very good perk, I think, to be bringing on a map like Suffo, shutting down that midsection very nicely. But unfortunately, Undying has once again been removed from the trial very early on. But a nice tag onto Baki over the Power Vault does secure the first down and trade for it. Silly is on a generator though, so we have some gem progress up on the board that I don't think we actually saw in the previous set as well. So Undying has been removed, but we still have Ruin and Pain Res still both in play, and a hook down on our Pain Res as well, I believe. So relatively quick Pain Res hook in the bank. Unfortunately, that Undying has died means that our two totems for our build are a lot more vulnerable, but crowd control, I think, is going to be a phenomenal perk for this map in particular, with the midsection being notoriously atrocious for a Ghoul player. Being able to shut down all the windows is definitely where you want what you want to have happening, because the midsection on Suffo is just dreadful to play. But just I was going to intro you a bit earlier on in the last one, but unfortunately we had to do a quick rerun. 4K3, since I believe there was a penalty involved with the wrong perk. What do you think Sacred has to do to achieve this sort of result?
Yeah, 4K3 win for Sacred here, because of course with minor penalty removes the Tycon. He kind of just needs to have Longbottom make mistakes. That's what he needs. He needs Longbottom to make a critical mistake somewhere, some way, have someone die super early, and then play a slug game, because we can only let 2 gens go, which is like such a massive ask. We're going to make good value out of our perks as well. We have a very heavily invested into a totem build here. We're not even bothering with the tile out here. We're just going for our freshest of painters, silly with our live, trying to rotate away from this tile as well. Find somewhere safe, but no, we're actually just staying at the tile, finding some rotation. We have BL1 on the side of Sacred. We also see skill check being missed from Baki there, with the pre-throw coming through onto the Shag Power. That will result in a stun. We're leaving Silly now and moving onto Baki here. And we see by the HUD as well as Sacred. Canna and FJ are working 2 different generators there that are super high progress there, but committed to the chase there onto Baki. I think we do get this down, but no, it's a dead hard coming through from Baki. Fantastic usage of the dead hard there. Thankfully not deep wounded from any bites or anything like that, but we see our first usage of crowd control there on those windows, which we definitely did need, because those windows are basically kissing, and we're going for an insane card of play, but a little bit overzealous there with the flicks, so that will give Baki a good bit of distance to rotate towards top of 12, which is exactly where he needs to be. He can't really afford to die anywhere near Shaq, and we found another totem here mid-chase, but with the amount of resources available to Baki here, it's going to be a very long chase, I think, unless we're able to pull off a miracle here. Good block there from Sacred, actually. That should result in a down. Great cutoff there with only 1 token being needed, but we have someone nearby pressuring the power save here, which is not what you want. We do get the bite on Canada there, re-enraging ourselves, buying this team a good bit of time then to pop that final gen to meet the win con of the 4K2. We see FJ has it on lock. I am curious, do we have a 99 sprint burst? No, we don't. So we're just a little bit too far away to get that. We're going to be slow vaulting the NAM building window there, just so we don't block it at all. Then we have 2 different generators actually that have really high progress, so I think it might be curtains for the Ghoul set there on the side of Tensei, but Sacred will be playing this out regardless, of course. Pre-throw there coming through from Canada, just trying to deny himself some distance from Sacred, but we also see FJ's high prog gen over by the 1 corner here. Bite coming through onto him as well, which now means everyone is injured on the lock, but looks like we're trying to use Champion Allied to buy ourselves a bit of distance and conserve our sprint burst a little bit there, another gem pumping in the background. That will be the win for Longbottom here on the side of Ghoul. So we will be seeing that Centerbyte tiebreaker. I'm curious to see how it does unfold. I do know that, of course, Longbottom, big fans of the Cenobite, but we still have to play out the set there. A bit of a cheeky double vault, insane mind game, demon work from Sacred there. We're standing right in the middle of the power, which means we cannot do any prompt steals or anything like that. Good positioning from Canada. That was all in Cracker Blind as well, buying him a good bit of distance. We still have a tile just connecting over here in this 1 corner. This is a decent tile to play around, but unfortunately Ghoul can't really do much with his power around here. We do bait out the throw there. Volt coming in from Canada, but not falling for any revolts or anything like that. This is going to be 2 tokens used. We're trying to go for a bit of a prompt steal / cutoff. It doesn't quite work out in our favor with the power break. That will give Canna the main building access, but with crowd control still up and only using one token so far, I do believe Canna's time on this earth might be limited unless we slow bolt the power like the winner like a maniac and buy ourselves another rotation around main. Longbottom, I can see why they picked the Ghoul set because they're just locked in and know all the little tricks of the trade to play around Ghoul's power in chase, as well as, of course, a lot of those tricks do help you play around ground control as well. So it's good to see that despite it being still standing, they're playing around it very well with only one window being blocked on the map there and using mostly pallets until that totem is gone. But with the gen split we're looking at now, it is not looking very good for Sacred. Likely going to be a low stage result. There's another gen does pop in the background. And Ghosty with ground control gone and just pain res Andy on the board. What do you think the Sacred needs to do here to try and secure some high stages?
At this point, with 3 survivors injured, it's not like it's all hell and, you know, it's all out the bag for Sacred. With these 3 injured survivors, this could be where we start getting a bit sluggy with it. And Baki coming in for the hit take for Canna does mean that all 4 of our survivors are now injured, which is, as a Ghoul player, what you want your survivors to be. You don't want them to be healthy, you want them all to be injured so you can just start flying around the map, get your M1s in and just start getting very heavily with the slugging. But in saying that, the gen efficiency from Longbottom in this set has just put them to the end game. So at worst, we could be looking at the 5-stage game if Canada does not make it out of the trial, winning all of the 50s at the moment on this 10-tile palette. And with that Enrage, we don't have the fast vault of the palette either. Also, Silly now coming in to escort Canada down towards the bot side and try and get as far down as we can. Baki also reset here to take some hits, but not able to slip in front of Sacred to deny it. And we also had Canada trying to rotate down as well. So we're in this bit of a stuck position on the top mid side with just Baki's hit take to give. But obviously Baki would also be very inclined just to take a full death for Canada to escape, since they would only be worth that 1 stage. So at this point, with the gate being opened, our other remaining 2 survivors could leave at any point. But I would presume that we're looking at some resets that give Canada that send in the hit take squad and try and get them out of the trial as well. Baki doing their damn best to try and not let Canna go down and just take the death. The hero that we need again. Yes, the resets are coming through from Silly and FJ. We're probably going to be seeing the squad all swarming in very shortly, but Canna is on amazing to play this main building. Losing Chase as well, so I think the window isn't going to be blocking anytime soon since we don't have Chase at the moment to block it. So really buying time at this main building for FJ and Silly to be able to come back through. And unfortunately, little elevation does mean that Sacred does lose a bit of ground at the moment as well. We don't have the Enraged as well, so we don't have access to our 3 vaults. And yep, here's Baki. Also reset as well for another hit take. FJ coming through with some flashlight to try and disorientate Sacred. The squad's all here. Can they do enough to potentially allow Canada to escape? And it looks like they would have, but it looks like we're going for some little body blocks because we know we can't stop the squad from escaping at this point with just hits, and we're trying to go for the body blocks to play into the timer, but I don't think it's quite enough. With that, I think this will be all of our survivors out with a potential heal take. No, we have managed to cut off Silly from the gate, so we needed either just all send it for the leave or try and get out as soon as possible. Baki here as well to try and take a death again, once again. This is a lot going on right now with the squad, but we've been able to slip through to the gate, but not quite enough. But in saying that, with our position on the gate, our survivors can just leave at this point, and Silly should be able to get the hatch secure. Oh no, we may have prompt stolen. And it looks like Sacred has been.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to OSL. This is the Saturday night games. This is Tensei versus Longbottom. We are currently 1-for-1 here, which each team winning their own set. And now we're on the tiebreak of Cenobite on DDS, Sacred on the Killer, and similar line to last time we saw on the Ghoul set from Longbottom, although we are subbing out FJ in favor of Midgie for the survival lineup. Sorry for the awkward end to the end of the last set. I started talking about the game and I was muted. So my bad. But letting in here, we got Sacred on the Cenobite, of course, and we got a very totem heavy build here. We got Pentimento, Ruin, crowd control. Looks like someone's already done a cheeky little fast vault with Quick and Quiet just to check for crowd control, which they have found Midgie on a totem already, and Sacred managing to find a box there as well. We see all 4 survivors on board, which is going to be committing to someone over here. I don't quite know who this is just yet, but it's going to be taking place down back 9. This is going to be Silly, taking chase all the way down to the corner 9, actually, as we do see Canna as well on another totem in the background there, and we're getting a little bit lost in the chains there, but we're very patient with that, and that will result in a tag onto Silly, thankfully. No Silly vaults or anything coming through there, so going to be going for another chain, but unfortunately missing it this does give Silly access to the Shack here. Now, Cenobite is a very hard killer to try and, you know, put a pin into what the result should be. We see Midgie picking out the box there in the background. If you're doing all the right things and taking hits at the appropriate times and there's head-ons and, you know, and all that sort of stuff does come to fruition, it will probably be the stage results. I hate this fucking map. That shit happens all the goddamn time, and I hate it. And now, because of that, Silly kind of just gets main to himself, and we're going to be here for probably the next 45 seconds, unless we pause very strangely here. Once more, the gateway kind of bugging out and just spawning in midair for some reason, instead of, like, in front of Sedley. But regardless, we're going to be continuing the chase here, waiting for our power to come back. Once again, bugging out, not giving Sacred enough leeway to place the gateway anywhere useful. And head on as well coming through there. Cracker on top of it for Canna, giving Silly so much room to play around main building here. And with that being said, we're just going to have to chase the head on play. There's not really any other choice you can do. Silly is long gone, and he's too far away from anything for it to matter. But good short swing there from Sacred, result in the tag onto Canna. So he's able to rotate over here. Unfortunately, missing the chain there as well on the medium vault. He's going to sting quite a bit, because this does mean we're just able to rotate all the way around here. And we did hear someone working on a bonus, and that will be Backy. So getting a third hit as well, although with no Sloppy Butcher or any other anti-heal, it doesn't really matter too much, as the resets are going to be plenty. But medium vault coming through there right as crowd control gets cleansed over by 9. So that perk did sweet FA, maybe force some couple of soul vaults here and there. Midgie diligently working at Generator in the background there, and with a few injuries on the board here, Sacred is he looks to be in a good position, but the gen progress is really good on the side of the survivors, and good patience there from Sacred will result in their chain, but doesn't mean anything. We buy a little bit of distance, but unfortunately we do get this fast vault around the side of main anyway, and chain coming through as well. That will be connecting once more onto Backy, but I do believe he still gets the main building window anyway. We should have our power back right about now, but it doesn't really matter. We go for an ambitious swing there. It doesn't connect. Unfortunately, this gives Backy once again the run of around the back of main, and after that first gen being done, we see Silly being reset in the back end, so I dare say he will be coming in to try and save Backy's life if he's forced to play around the outhouse part here, going for a bit of a pre-throw. Break coming through from Sacred. This will result in Backy just dying corner map, and with Canna being injured, I do believe that would be a clean break, and we're just playing around the cactus, buying as many precious seconds as we humanly can, and that will be the first down of the game there, Ghosty.
Yeah, no, Sacred doing, I want to mention as well, a really good starting play, finding the box super early on, applying that chain hunt very early on. Definitely what you want for your first chase, since obviously being a survivor against a Cenobite, being, yes, not the strongest killer, playing chase in a chain hunt is miserable. It's never usually an enjoyable thing to have to go through. But we do have the silver lining to unfortunately crowd control that. Couldn't really disagree, did pretty much nothing. We do have Pentimento in the bank to apply to 2 totems that get broken with Ruin still being up, and now crowd control. So we have Penti in the bank for later on if we choose to venture off towards the outback area. Once again, as you've mentioned, as well as Song, the map kind of being a bit on or against Sacred's side with these GoPro, as I like to call them, spawns with the cameras, not allowing us to get a quick chain over to the back of that little building on the one side to try and see if we can scout out a survivor and try and get a quick chain onto them. But it does mean that we do not find the survivor there, but we heard the totem being touched on the main side, and I think it was Midgie on that top main generator. Beautiful little chain though, send towards Silly to get them off of their generator and allow Ruin to be applied to that generator, as our ace Canna is working on one of our gens. I think that was on the outback side, so we will be looking at our second gen popping up the trial, but Silly has been able to sneak in and get the unhook onto Backy, so another leash of life for them so they can commit to the next chase. An unfortunate short spawning of the chains as well means we don't get to get the chains onto Silly. I'm pretty sure Silly was the target for Sacred there, as Ruin does inevitably bite the dust. The box also being solving means we won't be looking at a chain on. Ooh, almost very nice curve by Sacred connecting onto Backy as well to apply chains again, losing a bunch of distance with the slowdown that you do get from it. Another chain being sent out directly onto Backy's head, securing the chains once again, but they do have Shack to play, and a hit take from Midgie coming in as well, so you are going to be able to make it to main, and with main building, certain we'll be seeing a head-on coming through very shortly to buy our survivors even more time. Not in the same lock as this before, it seems. It looks like they're opting just to play the main building as much as naturally possible without the support of head-on or anything like that, but this is 2 survivors that aren't really doing anything at the moment. We have managed to get 2 gens out of the way, and Ruin is no longer in play. There's the head-on that I was expecting to be seeing all in the main building. These locker spawns on main are absolutely dreaded for killer, and we are starting to cash into our Penti with 3 injured survivors. But obviously, if our survivor side is keeping track, they will know where these Pentamentos are placed. So it'll just be which one do we check first? Do we check the one that we popped at the start in the Outback, or do we check the one at main and try and remove this Penty stack? But looks like we have unfortunately found one of the injured survivors. It is Miji up on the one side. Unfortunately, the chain running into the generator, not our survivors, so we won't get the slowdown onto Miji, and they will be able to make main once again. And our survivors were aware of where the Penty was. So our Penty is gone once again. Very patient with our cameras though to secure these tags with the chains. And we're sort of stuck in this position again. We are getting the placement of our chains to try and go for a send, but it just does not connect, allowing Miji to make it back through towards the main building again. We're no longer having head on though, since it would still be on cooldown from Canna. Means we have to play just the main building as best as we can. We are able to get the vault through the window and the chains breaking, but I believe I would presume the add-on that Seka will be using, we have the chains spawning when they are broken by terrain. So not really a lot that Miji can do, and this will be our second pain raise of the trial coming through. But 3 generators pop for all of this happening for our second stage of the trial as well. Chain hunt is on the horizon though. We're going to need to see one of our survivors rotating for that box. We do see Baki picking it up now, so that at least we don't have to worry about a chain hunt, but I wouldn't expect a lot of like stages, if not a big result from Cenobite this month, even with like high caliber players playing it. The killer is still quite on the low end of the tier list, and you know, I wouldn't expect crazy results from this killer, not player.
Yeah, I mean, I think my memory eludes me, but I'm pretty sure the last Cenobite match that Longbottom played versus New Honest, no. I forget the team. What are we doing? Why are we breaking this? That's insane. They got like 8 stages. It was like high stages 4K, I think. So they did pretty well, but yeah, Cenobite sets are generally very long, very drawn out. You have to play it super safe, run around main, take hits. It's all very, you know, dull, I would say. Like, even though I quite like the Cenobite, playing him on DDS specifically is a bit of a ball ache, because it's just this. You know, get head on, take hits, hold W, my power doesn't work at main. It sucks. It really sucks. And I was almost at the point where it was like, okay, let's just put him on automatic mine in week 2 and call him a day, and take him off DDS. But I kind of walked that back because just leave him there for the season. Fuck it, people are picking it, and you know, changing a map like at week 3, it's a bit awkward, especially when it's just because it's like, oh, because it's not fun, and it sometimes power doesn't work in main sometimes. It's like, just play it out, see how it goes, and then you know afterwards, like the killer got good results anyway, so it just didn't matter. Unfortunately, Baki not quite in the position there to go for a pallet save. I'm curious to see if Sacred goes to the basement. He doesn't. He's opting to go for this hook over by the gallows here, right next to a very active generator. I was going to mention as well while you were casting, I didn't want to interrupt you though, we did have a 4-gen over by like 1. Is it 1? Yeah, 1 corner. We had main, you had gen in 1 corner, and then you had 2, like, 1 in the mid street, and then 1 in, like, the shops very close to it. But they managed to break that fairly easily, and that will be another gen being done in the background. That will be the main building generator. Sacred with this box logic will be able to start a chain hunt nice and early there, getting a good bit of information on where all the survivors are located there as well. But with gallows being such high prog, this is definitely looking down the barrel of about, like, 5 or 6 stages if you're lucky. It could very well just end up being 3 fresh 2 if the survivors play insane. We do have 3 healthy survivors on the board, so good bit of pass down by the gallows area as well. So if Baki's able to play his cards right and help out Miji a good bit, this should be like Miji just is able to run around main forever and over and over, and they get that final gen done. But we're anticipating kind of being in a lock nearby near gallows, but not quite seeing any fruits for that read as he is rotating over by to main. We do find Baki working on the working the box over by here. We very well nearly ran directly into him. Sega wasn't expecting that and backed away from him, actually, giving him a good bit of room to work with there. I'm surprised we didn't try and interrupt it with our chain and go for a chase and someone holding the box, because, of course, you know, then Baki would be afflicted with the... oh, we're just taking the down there for him instead of the injury, so that will be Miji dead. Was he trying to paint? No, this is a tier 5 kill. He wouldn't have adrenaline. So just taking the down there, it will be Miji, so this will be looking like 4 stages over to get a door open in time and backing out the gate. Or hatch potentially a shack. These doors are pretty good as well, but playing it super safe, so I think Baki's very confident that he's just going to be able to hold W over by the door, by the shops. The shops there, I think this is 3, if my memory serves me correctly, and we see that door, when we don't see it, we hear it, is going to be done, and unfortunately the chain doesn't interrupt people on the door for some reason. Lol, fuck you, lol. So that will be all 3 survivors heading out the door, and that will be a 4 stage 2 fresh result there for Sacred. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to OSL. This is Tensei versus Longbottom, and in case you missed it, we did just we're at the tiebreaker at the moment. We're 1-1 for each team, winning their own set. Pretty well there. Tensei specifically doing Lich wonders. They played phenomenally there. It was a very close game, that one. Ghoul much less so, and Cenobite. It's looking a bit rough for Tensei. We did see Sacred start off there. I think, if my memory serves me correctly, it was two fresh 4 stages, which isn't a great result. Like Cenobite is expected to get 5-6 stages. It's like what's expected. Of course, that depends on like the teamwork of the survivors versus the strength and understanding of the killer player. And Tensei survival lineup's pretty damn good. They're very, very solid. Baki, however, is a demon on the Cenobite, and I know that Longbottom have been practicing the hell out of Cenobite. It's one of their preferred sets, and I'm sure they're very happy to play it here as a tiebreaker. We're already getting on top of the box here. We'll be Baki fighting it down behind Gallows. We did see some people hopping into lockers there at the start, trying to avoid the box being picked up, but they weren't quite patient with it and got out the lockers a little bit too early. But Baki will be heading over to main because he did see 3 screams happening over here. We can also hear the chain hunt harassing plenty of survivors in the background there. We know there's at least 2 up there, Ace and I think we heard Adam as well. We see Anger just working a generator over there. I think Baki's trying to figure out if someone's crossing behind the shops to go for a pickup on the box. The box should have respawned over by the water tower. Given the positions of the survivors and where the killer was, this will be a nice cheeky early hit there onto Orlando. Very good to see there. Sloppy Busher as well being brought in this time, as well as Bamboozle. A much more traditional build, I suppose. Something a little bit more reliable than like 3 totems that we saw Sacred bringing, but unfortunately no. Head-on coming out very early from Enlightened. Cracker as well being in play, blinding us just a little bit. We're also searching the locker there when I think we intended to go for a bit of a break onto the wall or a vault onto the window to apply the Bamboozle, but we might have just lost Orlando almost entirely, but we do hear him injured noises over by the main building. We have multiple survivors in this area that could potentially come in and take a body block. It just depends if Orlando has the correct amount of distance to see light over by that back wall there. But Orlando has opted to actually leave the main building. Instead of playing around a hit with Enlightened, we're instead just going to rotate over to Shack and maybe play it super safe and pre-throw that Shack pallet. That's exactly what we're doing. So we'll be donating the Shack pallet to charity and maybe rotating back to main there where we can potentially get a head take escort over there. That's exactly what's happening. We see Anger playing with Orlando, trying to make this first down take as long as humanly possible. And this is just how the Cenobite set kind of goes. You just got to eat like 3 tags. You got to injure 4 people before you can get your first down. But with a very, very good chain being thrown out there, Orlando might be going down. He just barely doesn't make the power up there. The chain god smile upon Baki today, and I think he was trying to fake out the power pickup just in case there's someone lurking nearby. But with no exhaustion, someone needs to be very close. And oh no, Anger buddy, this ain't a pub. We're Baki's a little bit more switched on than that. He knows you're nearby. I will not quite working out in his favor there, but we do get the main building done as a bit of a mix-up there. And oh my god, we've also found someone else Sacred lurking nearby, expecting the immediate pickup there from Baki. Didn't quite come through there, but Baki doesn't even need a hook. Anger, if he wants, he can just camp both of these guys here, and now there's just 2 people that could do gens with Sacred injured. Only Light could do anything here, Ghosty.
Yeah, no, I think this is big problems for Tensei at the moment. Our only remaining healthy survivor being Enlightened, only one that can relatively come in to try and bring their fellow survivors back into the trial. And also in saying this, we only need 5 stages to take the win, and if Orlando was just camped out to death and then we eventually hooked Anger and just camped them out, that's the win con secured basically right there, which it looks like Baki might be looking at doing at this stage in the time. Chain Hunt also rearing its ugly head again to be a menace to our survivors as well. Someone's going to have to go for the box and then also have to go for these unhooks and the pickup on our slug. But Sacred being caught off on our bottom 6 side of the map, this is where it could be big problems for Tensei chain coming through as well. Sacred playing around this sort of mid-8 area or mid-7 area, but we'll be going down as well. We do get the pickup onto Anger, so we will be seeing certainly unhook onto Orlando very momentarily before second. Yes, we get the unhook through, so we're not going to second, thankfully, but this is the second hook of the trial secured. And if I am not mistaken, we do have a lot of gens along our bottom side of the map. I'm sure if Baki were to turn around, eventually we may see the dreaded gen set up on the bottom side, but instead we just found Anger lurking towards our bottom 6 side, so they will be going down as well. And at this stage, this might get a little dangerous because we could have just hooked hooked Anger there and then just camped anyone at this stage to death, and that is basically the set win secured. So big problems for Tensei at the moment. We also still have 4 gens remaining at the moment. And we need to get everyone healthy, get this chain hunt out of the trial, and try and get some recovery happening, because we're in a bit of a dangerous spot at the moment. Using our chain camera to just quickly check on the slug on Ranger to see if anyone is crossing through. We do spot one of our survivors. I think that is Orlando, potentially lurking along the 9 side, but only has this one fill pallet to play and a chain hunt to be worried about as well. So Baki can just literally just chill by this hook onto Sacred and just secure this second stage relatively for free at this point, because there would be pretty much no pressure on the board. We need to get all of our survivors out at this stage, and only can really give up one more stage. So big problems for our survivor side, since we still have the chain hunt active as well. I'm surprised that with all of this time that we've
It's
spent.
because the box is near the hook.
Oh, I have not seen the box near the hook. That makes a lot more sense in my head why
That's
we
why
haven't
Orlando was going down
got
there.
the box, because yeah, seeing where it is now, that's not what you like to see. You don't want chain hunt to be active for this long, and yeah, I see why Baki was even more content just to sort of chill out in this bottom side. We have both the box and a Death Hook survivor in walking distance away to Swamp. I think that this is, I don't know what to say about Tim, honestly. Like, this is very unfortunate for Tensei and a very dire situation.
Yeah, and with the line going for the 1-for-1 there, you do just kind of give up the set, and unfortunately the box isn't a conspicuous action, so you can just pick it up and solve it and not lose your BT. But Baki just trying to wait out the BT for as long as humanly possible. Another chain coming through there onto Sacred, though. Honestly, I would have just hit him if he was going for the box perk up, and then he would have been in the animation of picking up the box, while he would have been receiving his usual injury speed boost. Fortunately, no one here can really do anything about that. Anger going for a bit of a beamer, although the box will have something to say about that. And we're just taking the kill on the Sacred here, getting him out of the way, and then probably going back for the pickup onto online, although we see Orlando rotating in for that pickup there. And that will come to fruition, but the chains nearly said something about it. But Sacred dead on hook. We're at the Tycon at the moment, but something tells me we're going to be hitting this WinCon fairly soon, and I don't know what it is, but it's just a bit of an inkling that I have, as Anger will go down there as he approaches halfway down to his bleed out time. If this was a pub, the abandoned option would have come up by now, but I think Baki's looking for a 4K3 at this point. Fantastic chain there onto Orlando. He's playing this macro game excellently, and we also see Enlightened working the box there in the background. A bit of a short swing there. I think maybe that was a bit of a server lag kind of scammed him out of that, because if he was able to get that down relatively quickly, he could have teleported over to Enlightened and then secured that 4K3 with ease. But regardless, he still knows where he is. So very much the big man is on track for a 4K3 on the center bite. And I think Enlightened has just said, yep, all right, let's call it GG 2-1. And that's exactly what it is. It's 2-1 in favor of Longbottom. Very well played from them on the Ghoul and the center bite set. Very dominating performance. But we see that Tensei, where Tensei put their time. Is it Tensei or Tensei? Regardless, where that team put their time and effort on the Lich set, and it paid off, because not often that teams, because you got to keep in mind Tensei, relatively new team, they have fairly experienced survivors on their team in the but a lot of the people on their team are very experienced at Dead by Daylight, less so at competitive. Sacred probably having the most competitive experience on this roster. Of course, you have Enlightened as well with a lot of experience. Anger playing a bit of Div 2 as well on Flatline. Orlando, I think, was on Shinto a couple of seasons ago, but yeah, this for a team that's kind of a hodgepodge of different members that have varying